Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to sift through stacks of fascinating sources, articles, research our own notes, and really pull out those hidden gems, the insights that can help you navigate your world a bit better.
And today, we're kicking things off with a story that's, well, almost legendary, isn't it? The Tale of Ali Hafed.
It really is. And it feels so timeless. Even though it's an old story, it just hits home with so much relevance for all of us today.
Absolutely. It's such a brilliant illustration of, a very human thing, overlooking the incredible value, the opportunities that are literally right under our noses, in our own backyards, so to speak.
So Ali Hafed, the story goes, was this wealthy Persian farmer, lived near the River Indus.
Yeah, and he wasn't just wealthy, he was content. He had it all: orchards, fields, gardens, money saved up. Truly rich, not just in stuff, but seemingly in spirit, too.
Wealthy because he's content, content because he was wealthy. A perfect cycle.
Exactly. A picture of abundance, peace, until one day.
Right, the visitor, this ancient Buddhist priest arrives.
And they're sitting by the fire, and the priest starts describing how the world itself was formed.
Yeah, like from this swirling fog, God's finger tracing patterns, creating fire, cooling to granite.
Then copper, silver, gold, and finally, the big one, diamonds.
Diamonds. Glittering, valuable diamonds.
And that was the moment, you can just picture it. That description, the idea of these incredible stones, it just shattered Ali Hafed's contentment.
Suddenly, his farm, his money, his peaceful life. It wasn't enough anymore.
Not even close. He became obsessed, consumed by this idea of finding diamonds, finding more, vastly more.
So obsessed that he did something drastic.
He sold the farm, left his family, and just took off. Started searching the world for these diamonds he'd only just heard about.
Wow. And the search, it wasn't easy.
No, it was grueling. Years and years, across continents: Palestine, Europe, Africa.
Getting older, poor, losing hope.
Until finally, the story says, he ended up alone, completely broke, and in despair on a shore in Spain where he died.
Just a heartbreaking end. From contentment and wealth to utter despair.
But that's not really the end of the story, is it? That's the tragedy part, but the lesson.
Ah, the twist, the real kicker.
Exactly. The man who bought Ali Hafed's farm.
Yeah. What about him?
Well, one day, he's just, doing ordinary farm stuff, digging potatoes, the source says, near the stream running through the property.
Okay.
And he finds this weird rock, a shiny black stone reflecting light. He takes it inside, puts it on the mantelpiece.
Just a curious rock.
Until that same Buddhist priest happens to visit him, sees the stone, and gets incredibly excited.
He recognizes it.
Instantly tells the farmer, that's a diamond. The farmer's skeptical, nah, just a stone I found. But the priest insists. They go back to the stream, and there they are, more diamonds everywhere. That stream, that garden, it was littered with them.
You're kidding. On Ali Hafed's original farm.
Yes, the very farm he sold to go searching. It turned out to be one of the richest diamond mines ever discovered. The Golconda mines, historically. Acres and acres of diamonds right there. Oh, the irony. It's almost painful. He literally walked away from his fortune to search the world for it.
It's a gut punch, isn't it? And that story, that incredible irony, that's really the heart of what we want to explore in this deep dive for you, our listener.
Exactly. We're setting out to help you uncover your own acres of diamonds, not literal gems, of course, but
the opportunities, the strengths, the power for change that are often just sitting there unrecognized in your job, your community, maybe even inside yourself.
We're going to look at how different people, thinkers, leaders, everyday folks, tap into their vision, find their voice, show courage, valor, to change things for themselves and for others.
And we've pulled together some really fascinating sources. We're talking ancient philosophers like Aristotle, Seneca.
Right up to modern motivators like Earl Nightingale, researchers like Brene Brown.
Yeah, a real mix. And what's amazing is how these core ideas about success, finding your way, making an impact, echo across centuries. The principles seem timeless. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So think of this as your shortcut. We'll dig into these ideas, connect the dots, give you those aha moments, hopefully, and some practical takeaways.
Without the overwhelm, we'll boil it down, make it engaging, something you can actually use.
Ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
Okay, segment 1. The power of perspective. Unearthing opportunities in your own backyard. This really starts with digging into that acres of diamonds principle itself, right?
It does. Russell H. Tonwell, the guy who really made that Ali Hafed story famous through his lecture, he wasn't just telling a story, he was driving home a really powerful point.
Which was?
That right here in this country, or really any place with opportunity, You don't need to look far away to make something of yourself. The potential is usually right where you are.
With your existing skills, your energy, the people you know.
Exactly. It's not about needing some massive change or moving across the world. It's about seeing the value in what's close.
And Conwell's view of riches, it wasn't just about cash, was it? It was broader, more interesting.
Oh yeah, much broader. And maybe a bit controversial for some. Even today, he actually argued it was your duty to get rich.
Your duty, wow. Okay, unpack that.
But, and this is crucial, to get rich honestly. He saw making money through honest effort and integrity as a positive good. He even called it a form of preaching the gospel.
Preaching the gospel by making money.
Sounds odd, right? But his point was that creating value, serving others through honest work, generating abundance ethically, that is a form of positive contribution. It's practical good in the world.
So, not greed, but ethical contribution that also results in wealth.
Precisely. It challenges that old idea that money and morality are somehow enemies. For Conwell, if done right, they were partners. Using your talents, your surroundings to create value was a kind of service.
And he had stories to back this up, right? Real-life examples.
Absolutely. Like the story of the man in Hingham, Massachusetts. Poor guy, out of work, just kind of drifting.
Until his wife gives him a nudge.
A strong nudge. Tells him to go do something. So he goes down to the water, picks up a piece of wood.
It just starts whittling. Makes a little wooden chain.
Yeah, just fiddling around. And his kids immediately start fighting over it. So he makes another one.
Simple enough.
Then a neighbor sees this and says, hey, you should make more of those. Make toys. Sell them.
Makes sense. But the man hesitated.
He did. His first reaction was, oh, I wouldn't know what toys to make. My children are different from other people's children.
Huh. That's classic, isn't it? That feeling that our own situation is somehow unique, that we can't possibly know what others want.
Exactly. We look outward for answers instead of inward, or just right around us.
So what did the neighbor say?
Simple, brilliant advice. Why don't you ask your children? Right here in your house. Ask them what toys they'd like.
Look at the need right in front of you.
Precisely. And that's Conwell's point again. Understanding what people actually need or want, even just within your own family, that's often more valuable than having a pile of startup cash. The real opportunity, the diamond, was in recognizing that simple, immediate need.
And Conwell lived this himself, didn't he? With his church and Temple University.
He really did. He often talked about the community support he got. He had this great quote. Greatness isn't about holding some high office in the future.
It's about doing great deeds with little means, right? Accomplishing big things from the private ranks of life.
That's the one. It's about resourcefulness, grassroots power, like the story of the 57 cents.
Oh yeah, tell that one.
A little girl heard him speak about needing funds for a new church. She came up afterward and gave him all she had, 57 cents.
It's just 57 cents?
But the spirit behind it. That small gesture, Conwell said, became the seed. It inspired others, and eventually they raised $10,000 for the church. That little girl's belief sparked the whole thing.
Incredible. The power of a small, committed act.
And Temple University, same principle. Yeah. He wanted a place for working people, strong men and women who can labor with both mind and body.
And the funding didn't come from big philanthropists initially.
No. Factory workers gave 50 cents each. Policemen gave $1. Ordinary people making sacrifices because they believed in the vision. Their combined small contributions built the university. It showed that collective belief and local effort can achieve massive things.
It really drives home that idea of finding power and resources right where you are within your community.
Absolutely. It's all about perspective, seeing the potential in the immediate.
Okay, so building on that idea of finding value close by, let's turn inward to the mind itself. Earl Nightingale called it the last great unexplored continent.
Yeah, a powerful metaphor. He believed our minds hold riches beyond our wildest dreams, but we often just let them lie fallow.
Before we get into how to explore it, how did Nightingale even define success? Because it wasn't the typical definition.
No, not at all. For him, success wasn't about hitting a certain income bracket or job title. It was simply the progressive realization of a worthy ideal.
Progressive realization.
Yeah.
So ongoing and a worthy ideal.
Exactly. It could be a teacher dedicated to her students, a mother devoted to her family, a gas station owner committed to great service, a salesperson hitting their goals, anyone deliberately pursuing a job or goal they chose and deemed worthy.
The key is pursuing a predetermined job or goal. consciously moving towards something.
Right. And he made a pretty startling claim about how rare this is.
Only 1 in 20 people, he said.
Something like that, which suggests most people are sort of drifting, reacting to life rather than actively shaping it towards a chosen purpose. It really highlights the power of having clear goals.
And this ties into his core idea about thought, doesn't it? The strangest secret.
The strangest secret being we become what we think about.
Literally, not just metaphorically.
He meant it quite literally. Our dominant thoughts shape our focus, our attitude, our actions, and ultimately our results. It's like programming our internal GPS. Think constantly about lack and problems, and that's what you'll tend to see and create. Focus on your goal, on possibilities.
And you start moving towards them. It aligns with modern ideas about neuroplasticity, too, how our thoughts physically change our brain.
Absolutely. And there's that paradox he pointed out.
The priceless things versus the costly things.
Yeah. Our mind, our soul, our body, hopes, dreams, all given freely, and they're priceless. The things we buy, often replaceable. But because the mind is free, always available.
We take it for granted. We don't consciously direct its incredible power. We use maybe, 10% of its capacity?
If that. He believed the mind could achieve almost anything we ask of it if we direct it consistently. But we tend to use this amazing tool for trivial worries instead of big goals.
So how do we start directing it? He had a practical suggestion, right? The 30-day experiment.
He did a concrete challenge for 30 days. 1, write down your specific goal. 2, stop thinking about your fears. 3, consciously think about your goal in a positive, relaxed way several times a day. Picture yourself having already achieved it.
And actively push out negative thoughts, replace them with the positive image of the goal.
Exactly. He framed it around the law of sowing and reaping. As you sow, so shall you reap. He saw it as an inflexible natural law, like gravity. Your thoughts are seeds. Plant good seeds consistently, and you'll reap a good harvest.
It requires diligence, though. Constant mental gardening.
It does. And he added another key piece of advice.
Yeah.
Do more than you have to do. Give more than expected.
Not necessarily working longer hours, but giving more value, more effort, more of yourself.
Right. Believing that your returns in life fulfillment, success, relationships are directly proportional to your contribution, to what you give out. It's action combined with a mindset.
This links really well to the idea of creativity, doesn't it? Going beyond just IQ to something like a creativity quotient or CQ.
Definitely. Nightingale saw creative people as those who understand their mind is an inexhaustible storehouse, but they don't just rely on what's already there.
They actively keep adding to it.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Seeking information, gathering ideas from everywhere, from other people, from experiences. They listen before they judge. They fight prejudice. They're open.
It makes you think, how often do we really observe closely? Ask questions just to learn, not to argue. Genuinely welcome ideas from unexpected places.
Or do we just stick with what we think we already know? That openness, that constant augmenting of the mental storehouse, that's key to unlocking creative potential and seeing those hidden opportunities.
So we've talked about perspective mindset, but how do we balance living now with building for the future? That's a constant tension. Seneca had some thoughts on this.
He certainly did. The Stoic philosopher Seneca, in his letters, really cautioned against deferring happiness, that I'll enjoy life when trap.
When I retire, when I make more money, when the kids are grown.
Right. He urged people to live as you go along, find joy and meaning in the present, partly by dividing always with his fellow men, sharing, connecting, engaging now.
Not just waiting for some future payoff.
Yeah.
And he connected this to wealth too, didn't he? Honesty being the royal road.
Yes, very strongly. Echoing Conwell, almost. He believed true prosperity came through fairness and integrity. Dishonesty might bring short-term gain, but it corrodes you internally. That idea of not finding sweet rest if you've cheated someone, powerful stuff.
It really is, which connects to dealing with the past too. Les Brown's idea. Let what is past, pass.
Such a vital message. We can't change what happened, tragedies, mistakes, failures. Dwelling there just keeps us stuck.
But we can shape the future.
Absolutely. It's about shifting focus. He used the example of Candy Lightner.
MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, an incredible story born from terrible tragedy.
Heartbreaking. Her daughter killed by a drunk driver who then got a lenient sentence. The grief, the outrage, it could have destroyed her.
But she channeled it.
Transformed it.
Yeah.
She took that immense pain and built a national movement that saved countless lives. She didn't let the past paralyze her. She used it as fuel for future change.
An amazing example of resilience. And Brown gives practical steps for moving forward, right?
Very practical. List your assets, list your liabilities, know where you stand. Then, Identify people who can help you: mentors, advisors, role models.
And the crucial step,
Make contact. Reach out. Don't just admire from afar. Actively build the network you need to move forward. It's proactive.
taking control of building that future. And all these big visions, these forward movements, they need daily grounding. That's Zig Ziglar's point.
Yeah, goals must be daily. Love that phrase. He said dreamers are fine if they build a foundation under those dreams, day by day.
It's not a sudden waterfall of success, he said. More like drops of water.
One drop at a time. Great analogy. Like a weightlifter building muscle incrementally, or parents teaching character through daily example, not just one big speech. Consistent, small actions build up.
He had that story about Alan, the mad butcher.
Yes. The struggling supermarket owner. Business was terrible.
But the turnaround wasn't some miracle product.
No, it was attitude. He went to a course, got fired up about enthusiasm, and decided he and his staff would just be 5 times more enthusiastic every day, every interaction.
5 times more. That's specific.
It is. But the point was the deliberate daily commitment to a positive, energetic approach.
And it worked.
Dramatically. Within weeks, revenue doubled. Same products, same store. Just a massive shift in energy and engagement cultivated daily. He found his acres of diamonds in the enthusiasm of his team. It shows the power of that consistent daily effort.
Okay, let's shift gears now. From internal perspective and daily action to the outward expression, the power of voice. How we communicate, persuade, maybe even challenge things. And this goes way back, right, to the Greeks and Romans.
Oh, absolutely. The art of rhetoric. Aristotle saw it as much more than just fancy speaking. It was an informed skill, a study of why speech persuades.
Looking at the causes logic, emotion, credibility, even the sounds of words, like assonance.
Exactly. He was analyzing the mechanics of influence through language.
And Cicero, the great Roman orator, built on that. He felt rhetoric needed a philosophical foundation.
Deeply so. For Cicero, true eloquence wasn't just technique. It needed natural talent, sure, but also relentless practice and a really broad understanding: human nature, ethics, history, how government works.
The orator had to be almost a polymath.
Pretty much. And Cicero knew the pressure, the fear involved. He acknowledged that even for the best speakers, things don't always go as planned. That fear, that awareness of potential failure is actually what drove the great ones to prepare so meticulously.
He also talked about using wit, humor strategically.
Yeah, not just for laughs, but to connect, to make points memorable. But always considering the audience, the topic, the occasion. It had to be purposeful.
Then Quintilian took it even further, systematizing it.
He did, called rhetoric the science of speaking well. Broke it down into invention, finding arguments, style, language, and arrangement structure.
And the orator's duty was threefold.
Instruct, move, and delight. You need all three. Instruct with clear logic, move the audience emotionally, make them care. And delight them through elegant language, good delivery, making it a pleasure to listen. Otherwise, the message doesn't stick or inspire action.
He also stressed learning through practice, emulation.
Right, like students striving to outdo each other in speeches. And he knew natural talent wasn't enough. Study was essential. He even analyzed specific thoughts of speech like allegory or hyperbole, showing how they work and when to use them carefully.
But not everyone in the ancient world was fully sold on rhetoric's value, were they? Plato had some serious critiques.
He did, especially through Socrates and the Gorgias. Socrates worried that rhetoric without real knowledge or commitment to truth was just a dangerous knack, a way to manipulate people.
Just persuasion for power's sake, not aiming for the actual good of the citizens.
Exactly. He contrasted it with the true political art, which should aim for virtue and truth. Socrates used his method, the elenchus, that back-and-forth questioning, to expose contradictions and push towards clearer understanding, not just win debates.
But later, in Phaedrus, Plato seemed to see rhetoric's potential for good.
Yes, he explored it more nuanced. He used myth to talk about the soul, and suggested rhetoric could be a tool for leading the soul towards truth and beauty, especially when connected to philosophical love or understanding. So, not just manipulation, but guidance.
Fascinating how these ancient debates still resonate. Now, let's jump forward to American history, to voices that powerfully challenge the status quo. Sojourner Truth comes to mind immediately.
An incredible figure. Her appearance at that women's rights convention in 1853, she faced hostility just walking in the door.
Because she was black and a woman, in a time and place where both were targets.
Exactly, yet she stood there with immense dignity. Illiterate, yes, but with profound wisdom and insight into justice. Her presence was the challenge.
And her words. Unforgettable. Asking for rights for colored women, too, not just men. She saw the potential pitfall.
She did. That line, colored men will be masters over the women, and it will be just as bad as it was before. So prescient. She understood that equality had to be universal to be real.
And her belief that knowledge is power, urging black men to stand up, be active, overcome fear.
A truly powerful, courageous voice demanding full humanity.
Then there's Booker T. Washington offering a different strategy later on, his Atlanta Compromise.
Right. In 1895, his famous advice, cast down your bucket where you are.
Meaning?
Focus on building economic strength, skills, businesses within the black community first. Self-reliance, vocational training, proving their worth through economic contribution rather than immediate political confrontation.
A more pragmatic approach for the time. That idea of being separate as the fingers, yet one as the hand in economic progress.
That was his vision. Cooperation based on shared economic interests, building a foundation of stability from within. It was controversial then, and still debated now, but it was his strategy for advancement in a deeply hostile environment.
And Theodore Roosevelt, with his square deal. He talked about fairness, but also changing the rules.
Yeah, he recognized that fair play sometimes require adjusting the rules themselves to achieve more substantial equality of opportunity. He wasn't afraid to use government power for reform.
And he pushed hard for a unified American identity, one flag, one language, one set of ideals, resisting ethnic divisions.
He did, but as we should always do with historical figures, we need to see the complexity.
Right. His progressive actions, like inviting Washington to the White House, were groundbreaking.
Yeah.
But other actions, like the Brownsville affair,
reflected the prejudices of his time. It's a reminder that even influential leaders are products of their era, offering lessons in both progress and limitations. We learn from the whole picture.
moving into the modern era of persuasion. Dale Carnegie's advice seems almost deceptively simple, but it's endured for decades.
It really has. That core idea from How to Win Friends and Influence People about showing genuine interest in the other person first.
Complimenting the other man on his system of fabrication, as he put it, showing appreciation for their way of thinking or doing things.
Exactly. Before you even state your own case or make your request, validate them. Show you understand and value their perspective. It builds rapport, opens them up.
It's not about manipulation, but about creating genuine connection before trying to persuade. Much more effective long-term than just barging in with your agenda.
Absolutely. It lays the groundwork for trust.
Then you have someone like Tony Robbins, who really dives into the psychological architecture of influence, meta-programs.
Yeah, these are like unconscious filters that determine how we process information and what motivates us. He identifies key ones like toward versus away from.
Are you motivated more by achieving pleasure, moving toward goals, or by avoiding pain, moving away from problems?
Right. And knowing this helps you tailor your communication. For a toward person, you talk about opportunities, gains, the exciting future. For an away from person, you focus on solving problems, eliminating risks, ensuring security.
Same goal, maybe, but framed completely differently based on their wiring. What about internal versus external frame of reference?
That's about where people get their sense of validation. Internally, I know I did a good job. Or externally, did others praise me? What feedback did I get?
So you'd offer internal satisfaction points to one and evidence of external approval to the other.
Exactly. He also talks about matching their primary way of experiencing the world, visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, using visual language for visual people, focusing on feelings for kinesthetic types, and so on. It's about speaking their language.
And he emphasizes physiology too, doesn't he? How posture, breathing affect your state.
Massively. It's not just that your state affects your body. Changing your body actively changes your state. Stand tall, breathe deeply, smile. You actually start to feel more confident and positive. It's a feedback loop you can control.
Influencing yourself to better influence others.
Precisely. But Robbins is very clear on one thing.
All this knowledge is useless without
action. You have to do it. Be a doer, not just a thinker or a learner. Apply these principles consistently. That's where the real change, the real success happens.
All right, our final segment. The power of valor. This touches on resilience, purpose, and ultimately how individuals can drive real societal change. And often, understanding valor starts with understanding its opposite, or perhaps its shadow, vulnerability, and shame.
That's where Brene Brown's work is so illuminating. She spent years researching shame, and her definition is key. It's not guilt feeling bad about something you did. Shame is that deep, painful feeling that you are flawed, unworthy of love and belonging.
The fear disconnection, she calls it.
Exactly. And crucially, she says it's universal. Everyone feels it, except those perhaps incapable of empathy. So feeling shame doesn't mean you're runt, it means you're human.
But it thrives in silence, right? The less we talk about it, the more power it has.
Yeah. Absolutely. It festers in secrecy. And she points out how it can become toxic in organizations through blaming, gossip, favoritism, bullying. Using shame as a management tool just crushes people and kills creativity.
So what's the antidote? How do we build shame resilience?
Through daring greatly, as she puts it, engaging with vulnerability, being willing to show up even when you can't control the outcome, sharing your story, and fundamentally believing in your own worthiness, imperfections, and all.
It also requires creating environments where honest feedback is possible.
Yeah.
Focusing on behavior, not character assassination. Normalizing struggle.
Yes. Like teaching kids the difference between shame, I am bad, and guilt, I did something bad, and being open to discussing those feelings without judgment. It builds resilience from the ground up.
This idea, inner strength, reminds me of Seneca again. Preserving an indomitable soul.
Such a powerful Stoic concept, facing distress without letting it crush your core self. He believed true well-being comes from reason and nature, not external events.
And his point about opinion adding to pain.
Crucial. Pain is slight if opinion has added nothing to it. Our interpretation, the story we tell ourselves about the pain, often magnifies the suffering way beyond the actual event.
So focus on what strengthens the soul, not what weakens it. Choose your internal response.
It's about cultivating that inner fortitude, that resilience, regardless of external storms, a kind of mental and spiritual valor.
Which feels connected to Elie Wiesel's moral imperative to care and especially to remember.
Deeply connected. His experiences gave him such a profound understanding of moral courage. He spoke with such passion, such desperation about the need to fight against the forgetting of the Holocaust, the attempts to silence survivors.
Because remembering historical evils is essential to prevent repeating them.
Absolutely essential, even when people offer practical reasons for silence or moving on. For Wiesel, knowing and remembering, truly internalizing the lessons of history was a fundamental moral duty. There's a huge gap between just knowing facts and having the moral courage to act on them.
That moral courage leads directly to people who actively lead with purpose, challenging injustice. Kurt Vonnegut had a unique way of looking at this.
He did, a very humane, often darkly funny, but deeply moral perspective. He saw Christ's words, "Forgive them, they know not what they do," as the antidote to eye for an eye vengeance.
And a simple answer for supporting civil liberties, the Sermon on the Mount, sir.
Just cuts right through the complexity. He believed serving your community, humanity, was the only truly substantial thing, and he recognized the absurdity sometimes that a sane person in an insane society must appear insane. It takes courage to maintain moral clarity.
He also drew a line between harsh words and actual evil deeds.
Yeah, distinguishing between coarse language, which might offend, and deliberate lying or harmful actions, which cause real societal damage. A useful distinction.
Then you have someone like Ruth Bader Ginsburg embodying justice in action through the law. She drew inspiration from pioneers like Belva Lockwood.
Yes, Lockwood, the first woman to argue before the Supreme Court and run for president. A true trailblazer who refused to be silenced. Ginsburg saw that courage.
And interestingly, Ginsburg found value in strong opposition, like Justice Scalia's dissents.
She did. She said his searing criticism often forced her to sharpen her own arguments, making the majority opinion stronger, more persuasive. It shows how rigorous, principled disagreement can actually lead to better outcomes. It hones the thinking.
And she famously found her own powerful voice in dissent later in her career.
Absolutely. Using those bench dissents not just to disagree, but to educate, to lay out alternative paths, to speak truth to power within the system, while maintaining respect for her colleagues. A masterclass in valor through jurisprudence.
Thinking beyond national boundaries, Noam Chomsky challenges the very idea of borders being permanent.
He sees them as conditional and temporary constructs. Pointing to Europe's centuries of brutal conflict now transformed, makes you question how fixed these lines on a map really are versus being products of specific political moments.
And Paul Farmer's concept, empathy deficit disorder. That really makes you stop and think.
It does. He asks that tough question. Can empathy and compassion, which can feel fleeting, be transformed into something more durable, something that leads to sustained, reasoned, compassionate action and policy, not just momentary feeling?
Making empathy operational, institutional. That requires a different kind of valor, a sustained commitment.
A commitment to seeing the humanity in others and acting on it consistently.
So, looking back at history, we see these threads woven through the lives of visionaries. St. Francis of Assisi.
His radical commitment to poverty and preaching sparked a movement that reshaped Western spirituality and compassion for centuries. His valor was in his absolute dedication to his calling.
George Washington, establishing precedents for leadership, putting nation above self in his farewell address.
His valor was in that commitment to the fragile new nation, setting a standard for selfless leadership.
And Malcolm X, his incredible personal transformation leading to a powerful voice for Black rights and dignity, even as his views evolved.
His valor was in that relentless search for truth and justice, and the courage to change and grow publicly.
So these figures, across completely different times and contexts,
They all show how individual vision, combined with courage, with valor, and expressed through a unique voice, can create legacies that ripple outwards, long after they're gone. It wasn't necessarily about planning a legacy, but about authentically pursuing their purpose, their worthy ideal.
Exactly. And that commitment, that courageous action, is what ultimately shapes history. It starts with one person's conviction.
So we've covered a lot of ground: perspective, mindset, voice, valor. Bringing it all together, what's the main takeaway for you listening right now?
I think it boils down to recognizing potential. First, the potential right around your own acres of diamonds in your daily life, your work, your community, seeing opportunities where others might just see the mundane.
Then the potential within you. Cultivating that positive, goal-focused mindset, knowing your thoughts shape your reality, using the incredible power of your mind deliberately, and harnessing the power of your voice. Communicating effectively, persuasively, authentically, whether that's in a boardroom, a community meeting, or just a conversation. Having the courage to speak your truth, maybe challenge things that need challenging.
And finally, underpinning it all is valor. That resilience to bounce back from setbacks, rooted in a sense of your own worthiness. Leading with purpose, acting with moral courage, remembering what matters, and making a difference.
It's about seeing that the power to learn, to grow, to influence, to create change, it's often much closer and more accessible than we think.
It really is. It's about internalizing that potential is everywhere, waiting to be activated. So we'll leave you with this final thought to mull over. If the richest diamond mines are often hidden right under our feet and the most impactful voices rise from the deepest convictions, what unsuspected acres of diamonds might be lying dormant in your life, in your experience, right now? What's waiting for your unique vision, your authentic voice, and your quiet or loud valor to bring it to light?
Something to think about. We hope this deep dive has given you some tools, some inspiration to perhaps start digging.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.